Good evening, Western Washington, and happy late Saturday night here. It's almost Monday here, but I'm doing a late night video for you guys tonight. So we're going to take a look at the extended forecast and the forecast for the next couple of days. That's where we'll start. We're starting here with the nighttime satellite imagery here. You can see some high clouds there moving south out of Western Washington, otherwise completely clear. Not a cloud in the sky. You can see some fog offshore and in some valleys in British Columbia. We may have some fog development around parts of Thurston and Pierce counties overnight, maybe Mason County as well. And it's going to be another cold night, but we had a beautiful sunset tonight. I got this photo from my drone here looking out toward Tacoma from Federal Way. You can see some of those really nice cirrus clouds here across the area. Those are some of those clouds that are moving south out of the region tonight. Now, let's take a look at current temperatures as of 10:40 p.m. here. You can see temperatures are dropping quickly in the southwest interior down to 27 in Shelton, 25 in Olympia, mid-30s along the coast, except near 28 degrees there near La Push and Forks. And then you can see across the I-5 corridor there, current temperatures in the 30s near the water and in the upper 20s away from the water. Another night in the mid-20s expected tonight. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Let's take a look at sea level pressure. We will have dominant ridging through Monday here, as you can see. That ridge weakens offshore, but we stay pretty consistent with this pattern through Tuesday and then Wednesday. And you can see as we go through Wednesday, that ridging does start to back off a little bit. We'll take a look at this more in a moment, but we will have a system likely moving into the area by Thursday and Friday there with more systems after it. So let's take a look at that in a moment here. First, we're going to look at high temperatures. You can see Monday likely reaching the low to mid 40s across Western Washington, maybe some upper 40s there along the coast. You can see Tuesday, similar deal. Same thing on Wednesday, starting to get into the upper 40s in Western Washington there along the I-5 corridor. Then Thursday, with those systems coming in and more clouds, we cool down a bit with highs reaching the low to mid 40s. Friday, we tick back up into the upper 40s, maybe a few places reaching near 50 degrees, especially on the coast. And then Saturday, we start to cool back down again with another system. There are highs remaining in the mid 40s across Western Washington. Now let's take a look at lows for the next couple of nights here. You can see early Monday morning, we're likely going to get lows in the mid 20s from Tacoma southward there, including maybe Auburn, Federal Way, Puyallup, and then some of the foothills and areas up north of Everett, all reaching the mid-20s there around Seattle and near the water in the 30s. Same on the coast. Tuesday, you can see that similar trend continues. Same spots getting colder, especially from Seattle southward there and to the west there across parts of the southwest interior in the mid-20s. Same thing again on Wednesday, more mid-20s for the southwest interior there and areas around Seattle and Tacoma in the mid-20s to low 30s there and near the water there again the next few days in the 30s at night. And then as we get into Thursday morning, you can see those lows start to increase a little bit into the low 30s for most of the I-5 corridor, some upper 20s, especially north of Everett and from Tacoma southward there. And by the time we get to Friday morning, with those systems moving through, we finally have lows above freezing with lows up into the mid to upper 30s, some low 40s as well. So let's take a look here at precipitation potential. You can see here on the European model as we go through Tuesday and then Wednesday, all the way through Wednesday evening, not a drop of rain across Western Washington. As we go into early Thursday morning, maybe some showers on the coast. And then as we get into the late night Thursday there into early Friday morning, you can see rain spread across Western Washington, snow starting in the mountains. That gets heavier and continues all the way through Friday. And then we have a break. We have a pretty strong convergence zone early Saturday morning, bringing some areas of heavy snow to the mountains. And then we're going to have a break on Sunday before potentially more systems move in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday there. But that is getting into some uncertain territory there. And what is causing that uncertainty is the potential for Arctic air. So here we're looking at the European model. We're looking at heights, which is just a measure of ridges and troughs in the atmosphere, to put it simply, and kind of showing where those are here. And we're looking at 500 millibar heights and their anomalies. That is about 18,000 feet in the atmosphere, kind of the upper air conditions. You can see the dominant ridge that's going to continue across the region all the way through Tuesday and Wednesday before it finally starts to break down. And then you can see when that system moves through on Friday there, and see this polar lobe moving south across parts of Alaska and British Columbia. as our systems move through on Friday and Saturday, this is what you're going to be watching if there's going to be any Arctic air moving into western Washington here. However, you can see as we get into Sunday and Monday, this polar lobe kind of stalls off British Columbia and then just moves out to sea. This doesn't really bring any Arctic air to western Washington because it stays out at sea for so long there into next week that it modifies and gets a little bit warmer and then just ends up bringing more rain and mountain snow, which we need it, no doubt, but it doesn't bring the lowland snow type of thing that we would maybe want to see for some of us there. You can see the extended forecast does show continual troughing and systems all the way into the first few days of February there to like the first 10 days of February or so before ridging starts to rebuild, but that's looking really far out in the extended forecast. Let's compare this to the GFS model. You can see the ridging continues all the way through midweek here. Before we get to Wednesday and Thursday, that ridging breaks down. You get the system moving in here Friday. You can see that polar lobe starts to move down across Alaska and British Columbia. Notice how it stays very close to the shore here on the GFS model, barely gets offshore there over Vancouver Island, and then moves over western Washington and stalls before kind of pushing inland there over Thursday. So Tuesday, Thursday is kind of what you're looking at for that polar lobe on the GFS. And let's take a look then at what these bring. So you're looking at the European model on the left and the GFS model on the right. See the European, and this is purely speculative at this point because this is so far out. We're looking 10 days out into the extended forecast here. You can see the European model, though, shows almost no lowland snow at all for western Washington, maybe like a quarter inch to an inch for most of the area. However, you look at the GFS and it goes nuts. And it shows huge amounts of snow, which, again, this model does this all the time. It shows huge amounts of snow all the time. But I'm really showing this to illustrate a point that the location of that polar lobe and how far out over the ocean it gets and how long it's out over the ocean plays a huge role in what kind of snow totals you could get. You can see European model where that polar lobe stays out over the ocean for a long time. You get almost no snow in western Washington. Good amounts of snow in the mountains, but not very much in the lowlands because the air is a little bit warmer. However, with GFS, when you get that polar lobe that stays right just barely offshore, then swings back inland, and you get big amounts of snow in the lowlands and in the mountains. Although these amounts, take these with a grain of salt, that's not going to happen. But it's just illustrating that point that the location of the polar lobe and how far offshore it gets really matters a lot. So taking another look here, this is the European model that we were just looking at. This is the European model's ensemble average. So taking into account the different ensemble members that the European model runs, this is the number one member of the ensemble, or the control run. I guess it's just actually number 0 ensemble is the control run, and then this is the average of ensemble members 1 to 50. You can see that the control run is a little bit of an outlier, with the ensemble mean here on the left going for potential snow across the whole region, with the control run here going with a warmer solution. So there is disagreement amongst the European model itself. So this is just showing that there's a ton of uncertainty still. So we still have to watch this closely over the next week. We're not looking at really any potential of any of this happening until the first few days of February. So early next week. So we've got a while to watch this to see how the trends go, if it's going to trend warmer and going to be more mountain snow, or if it's going to trend a little bit colder and be more lowland snow. So we've got a while to watch this, and I will definitely be keeping you guys posted on what's going on here and what the latest trends in the forecast are. However, one thing we can look at for a little bit more certainty in the closer range forecast is the likelihood of rain. And you can see here, this is looking at SeaTac Airport, all the European model ensembles agree that Friday into Saturday we start to get a big increase in rain. By the end of the day, Saturday there into Sunday morning, we will likely get near an inch of rain for SeaTac Airport, maybe about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch there. Good agreement with that across the ensembles. And taking a look at snow at Snoqualmie Pass there through this weekend, you can see good agreement on over 10 inches to a foot of snow, maybe up toward 2 feet. We'll see 18 inches or so, but there's good agreement that the mountains will start getting snow and the lowlands will start getting rain at the end of this week. Now, looking off into the extended forecast even more, this is the 3 to 4 week outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. This is basically showing February 18th to 21st, so most of the month of February. And you can see it's going for a chance of below average temperatures and above average precipitation for the Pacific Northwest, especially showing that above average precipitation signal. So that just shows the overall pattern that it's going to be a tad bit cooler and likely wetter than average. And that will be nice given how dry it has been over the last few weeks. Our snowpack is starting to get to 70 to 80% of normal, which is not what we want to see at this time of year. So overall, what are we talking about here? So we're looking at that cold continuing for the next few days. It's likely going to be completely sunny all the way through Wednesday and into early Thursday before we start to have some systems move through Friday and Saturday, and then that uncertainty lingers from Sunday onward as to if we're going to get cold, if we're going to get Arctic air, or if we're just going to have a typical active pattern with snow in the mountains and rain in the lowlands. So what can you do if you want to get more updates on this? The best thing to do is subscribe here to Western Washington Weather. Click that subscribe button below this video here, and also click the notification bell and like and share these videos. That is the best way to help Western Washington Weather grow. We're getting close to 900 subscribers, and I would love to hit 1,000 before the end of this storm season. And if you want some more updates, you can also follow me on Blue Sky, on Twitter or X, if that's what you'd like to call it, or you can join the Western Washington Weather Facebook group. These updates are usually a little bit longer and more detailed here on Facebook, so if you want that, be sure to join that group. And the links to all of this is in the description below. So stay tuned, stay warm, and I will talk to you all in the coming days.